Hi, welcome to photo class this week. My name is Pam Kriangkum, and I'm a commercial photographer who teaches small business owners how to plan content as well as take photos for their own business. So today we are still in December, so we're sticking with the holiday theme, and we are going to look at different gift boxes today because we are getting closer, about 2 weeks, just 10 days, 12 days till Christmas. Which is very exciting, but definitely the holiday panic of like last minute buying kind of starts happening now. And gift boxes are a really great way to have everything neatly packaged and ready for your customers so that they don't have to think too much about what they're going to buy because the gift giving season can be very overwhelming. So it is nice to have something like that, a collection or a set. So we're just going to go over some different ways that you can potentially show off your gift boxes and how to take photos of them. Some of these examples are definitely like 100% super professional commercial photography, but there's things that we can learn from it and take away from it that you can still, put those elements into your current work. So I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to make myself a little bit bigger today so you can see what's going on. Okay, so this is the first one I wanted to show you. This one I will say is the most simple one out of the examples I have today. So what we have here is a bath set in a nice little gift box with a little touch of eucalyptus, some ribbon, and fabric underneath. And all the fabric and the ribbon are doing in this example is they're creating texture. So the first thing I think of when I see this brand, because it has like that bit of marble, but then it also has like the rough spun fabric, is somebody who is maybe a little bit more of a homebody, like maybe something that's a little bit more rustic. And really like soaking in the tub and making sure that they have time for self-care, but more of like a down-to-earth kind of version of what self-care could be. So how would you take this photo? What I recommend, because sometimes the gift boxes that you do use for actual packaging, the pack like the products that you have sit further in. So what you can do is you can always put, if you have packing paper or packing peanuts or something underneath just for the photo, and then laying your fabric like they have here, or just like folding a piece of fabric multiple times just to give everything a bit of more height. Because if you look at it, the light is hitting, you can see it's either a softbox or a window on the sea salt soak right over here. But it's coming up from above here, so it's not like right there and they're taking the photo that way. Like the window or the light seems up a little bit higher. I think it is a light, but if you were to use a window light, again, raise your products up just a little bit so when the light is coming through, if you are using a window, it's hitting the labels of your products instead of just the box and casting a shadow, so that way people can read it and see what it is that they are purchasing from you. So a few things about this one. The placement of the box is okay with the ribbon. Um I think I would have to play with it a bit to see, because it's like spiraling from the left-hand corner to the right, which isn't a bad thing because your eye is still following it to then look at the product and then exit out to the top right of the screen. And the eucalyptus at the bottom is doing the same thing, where it enters from the left to the right and going that way. So it's not a bad way to do it. I just personally like doing things from left to right, from the top left-hand corner to the bottom right-hand corner. So this is maybe something that I personally would play with just to see like, oh, is this the best way to do it? Is there another way to play with it? But again, using those diagonal angles to create tension. But yeah, so this is a fairly simple one here. The product is the focus. There's a little bit of texture, but it's not taking away. It is adding the texture, but it's not taking away. And because they did use a piece of eucalyptus instead of specific Christmas holiday themed stuff, this is probably, they could use something they could probably use this photo all year round. Another thing you could do is, if you did have like a holiday themed photo, I say this all the time, I'm going to reiterate it again, is take the photo, without those decorations in it, and then bring them in. So that way you essentially have, like, because you've spent all the time to set up and take all your photos, you are making your photos do double duty. So you have a photo that you can use all year round, and then you have a holiday version that you can use for the months of November and December, or whatever holiday that you are celebrating or showing off. Okay, so this one we'll see. I have to like pause it because there's a specific angle. So this is a video. This is really simple. There's no what's it called? There's no holiday theme anything here. It's really easy though. So this is an example of a photo where you can make it do double duty, right? Here's a gift box. This, if this was a photo, this is the one that I would want to take. This still, because what it's doing for your eyes is your eyes are entering from that top left-hand corner, going to the product, and then it's looking at the hands, pulling the things out. So it's like, oh, what's it doing? Because there's like some tension and movement happening there. And then your eyes essentially ricochet in this like V-shaped pattern. And because you're using hands instead of like a full person in there, somebody can insert themselves. So in this case, this is probably directed towards women who are into skincare. So then you can see a woman's hands. So then that way, if it's directed to that audience, it's just like, those could be my hands. You know, I could be the one unboxing those things, but it wouldn't be hard to add a couple ornaments, whether it's bells, baubles. I would probably use something smaller, round or flat in this case, because you don't want to like block the box. And I would put it around here in the front, but I would do this photo, do whatever I need, and then add those elements in, take that photo, and then move on to the next. So this is a really, this is a great example of photos doing double duty. Super simple, can be used all year round. But then you can always add some more things into it. Okay, so this one I believe is more for autumn, but I thought it was still a really nice example of, you know, showing the product. In this case, it's cookies and some sweets. And they have this beautiful color palette, which is really, really eye-catching. And if you watched these videos before with me for photo class, you know I like to add movement into any photo that I take, and a lot of the examples I try to show have movement in there, but like immediately when you look at this, your eyes want to follow that ribbon from the top all the way to the bottom, right? So when you're watching, or sorry, you're following the curve of like the spiral of the ribbon, it goes down and it like is even parallel with like the ribbon on the box, which is like really great that they line those two things up. But then it makes your eye like have to move and stay in that photo to actually look at the product, which in this case again is the cookies. So if you wanted to make this more holiday themed, maybe you found gold Christmas ornaments versus the flowers, because I think this was specifically for the autumn season. But the way that they've done this is so beautiful and effective, because if you look, they put the things that are heavier on the bottom. So we have the cookies, whereas like the top, there's only one cookie, right? So there's one cookie, where on the bottom there's 4 cookies as well as a box. So it does also create this nice like place for your eyes to rest. I don't know why I just did this. I don't know. I'm sorry. But there's only one thing to look at, and then it gets more complex and heavier weighted at the bottom of this photo. So I really like it. I wanted to share it with you. This was probably taken in a studio on a flat piece of matte blue paper or velvet even, where the light source is coming from the top left-hand corner, probably up a bit higher, not like right overhead, but probably, I don't want to say 45-degree angle because I think I'm going to say that wrong, but the light is coming probably closer to a 45-degree angle. The shadows aren't harsh, so they're using probably a softbox because this is mostly with a strobe. But if you wanted to do something like this, where it's a little bit of a softer shadow, you're showing your products and you're using a window, what you could do if the sun is coming in really harshly is use blinds like how I have here to diffuse the light, so the light is a bit more diffuse and you get a softer shadow. Or what you can also do is take a neutral colored bed sheet, or if you have a reflector already for your photos, most reflectors, the center of it is like translucent, like it's translucent white kind of color, very similar to this, that you can use to block out the sun, so then it's softer. So yeah, and then they stick within two colors, yellow and blue, which is really pleasing to the eye. Okay, so for our last photo that I wanted to show you, this is going to be the most complex. There's lots of things happening here, but I really like this photo for a few reasons. One is you have the box in the back, and then you have the 3 products. So you already know, okay, this is a box set. They're using very like 2 colors essentially, maybe like 3. I guess the wood is more like a texture than it is a color for me, but it is like a warm wood. So they're using the reds, and then they're using this cream color, which is on the box, the product, but also the fabric in front, which is really great. So one reason I really like this photo is because there's just so much happening and your eyes still know where to go, which is the product in the middle, right? And because you're using this beautiful red backdrop and then also these red flowers, because those things are all kind of like the same tone, they kind of in a way like they pop, but they also fade into the background and force your eyes to look at the product, okay? I personally think even if you took the flowers out of this still would be a fantastic photo. Maybe it wouldn't force your eyes into looking at the product as much as this current example is right now. But this would be actually quite easy to do at home yourself. So what you could do is I personally have a backdrop stand. You can get one really cheap on Amazon. I'll put the link down below for like a cheap one. You don't need it to be a super sturdy one. If you are only going to be hanging fabric, if you want to be hanging seamless paper, you will need a more sturdy backdrop. I will link to the backdrop that I use all the time or something similar, so then you can see like what options there are. But again, you can put a piece of fabric as a background, and I really like having that little bit of texture, so like bunching it up just a little bit because it gives this luxurious feel to it. And then they just have fabric in the front as well, like that neutral color fabric. And then what you can do is if you have like charcuterie boards or wooden boards, just like stack them one on top of another. That's literally what they're doing here, is just like pieces of wood stacked on top of each other. And then play with your products, put them up, put the box in the background, and then even like without the flowers, you already have like a very compelling photo, I personally think. And another thing that they've done really well here is they put the products on 3 different levels, and in a way it's created a triangle like this. So your eye looks at this body lotion down here, and it goes up, and then it goes over here. And again, this flower is kind of like framing within a frame. It forces your eyes to kind of just like look back this way, right? Versus, I mean, we could have a flower coming out this way, which still would look nice, I think, but it's not forcing your eye into the photo, right? It's bringing your eyes out of the photo. Or this is a really, really nice way to frame it. So this one, I still think they're using studio lighting and also Photoshop because this looks too they might have composed this all together afterwards. But I still think they're using studio light. But again, you could totally do this with window light. The window would just be on your left-hand side. So like for me, this is my right-hand side right now, but if I just had a table right there, like right probably here, so then it's getting all the light versus all the way to the back of the wall of my office, and waiting for like that harsher sunlight, which we can see here. You see a little bit of dappled lighting. A way that you could do that, this is called okay, so what it is in this case, you could have like some branches or something and hold it up to the window, so then you're getting that dappled light. But essentially whenever you're shooting through and sorry, what is it? The light that's coming through, if you want shadows, essentially what you're going to use is something called a go-between object or a gobo, and essentially that is mimicking the window. It's mimicking the shadows that you want to essentially change how the person views the photo, right? With no dappled light versus like adding in a frame so your eyes are like directly looking at one thing. If I didn't explain that well, which I don't think I did, please let me know and I'll explain that again. But yeah, that is what I have for you today for photo class. This one is a little bit longer. I think I just talked slower. I think that's what happened. But there is a lot of stuff going on here. So just going over the examples again, we can create really, really simple flat lays by putting our products, creating simple and effective photos of our gift boxes with flat lays. And when you are creating these flat lays of your products in a box and taking photos of them from a bird's eye view, you want to make sure you're adding things underneath it to raise your products up, just to make sure the light is hitting those labels, so then people do know what it is they're purchasing and what they're getting. Photos like this can do double duty for us, where we can take photos and use them all year round. And then we can also then add holiday ornaments, little trinkets like that, in order to use the photos for those specific holiday months to sell. With this one, again, using movement to essentially draw your viewers' eyes to where you want them to see, and making sure if you do have something like this in a flat lay and it's a little bit more complex, weighting it so it's lighter on the top and heavier on the bottom, so it doesn't feel a bit as unbalanced. And then for this last one, again, using different levels and different textures, but also staying within like a really duochrome palette, I guess is what we'll call this one. But essentially, two things that are happening in this photo is these flowers kind of blend in with the background, but are also forcing our eyes to look at the product. So using that frame within a frame principle, and then using things like these boards in order to create different levels and dimension and height in order to show up your products. So I hope photo class was helpful for you today. Let me know what it is that you would like to see. I'm always open to hearing your requests, because I make all these classes for you. And yeah, I'm looking forward to next week, because it'll be the last week until Christmas. So I'm gonna think up ideas for the last minute, the 11th hour of like selling, when essentially all the shipping deadlines are over, and what do we do, kind of thing like that, when we want to show off those things last minute. So stay tuned for that time. But yeah, I'll be here next Thursday with you, same time, same place. Bye.